Minecraft Dungeons genuinely got an end update before Minecraft itself did, and everyone who has seen this update agrees that if even a fraction of this content came to Minecraft, it would be an amazing update. There's just so much going on here. However, I'm not going to beat the dead horse of how great an end update would be. Instead, I wanted to look back at Minecraft Dungeons and show you the features which worked well enough in that game, but would be amazing if they came to regular Minecraft. I think Minecraft has already made a ton of features that would make an amazing update, but they just did it for the wrong game, and let me show you the exact examples I'm talking about, because hello, I'm IBX Toycat. I'd appreciate a subscribe on the video, because it will allow you to see new videos like this one on the weird corners of Minecraft, which I find interesting. Speaking of things I find interesting, Minecraft Dungeons really isn't as bad as people say. I think it's a solid dungeon crawling game with a better than average story for what you would expect, but here's the thing that they kind of failed at. They never could get the game to appeal to players outside of the Minecraft fanbase, and so instead what they started to do is they started to appeal real hard to the things that you would want to see in Minecraft, but instead couldn't see, and so they could give you it in this game right here. And that sounds really great on the surface, but it makes you realize just how much they knew exactly what we wanted if they could add something like, for example, the exploding crossbow. If we take even just a glance at the long weapon list they have in this game, there are all sorts of interesting things, because it's not just one exploding crossbow. There's the firebolt thrower and the imploding crossbow, but even just the core idea of a crossbow which can fire explosives is really, really fun. We already have TNT in Minecraft, we already have flame bows to light those TNT, and so why not just have a way to launch explosions directly? The answer is that they have already added a way to fire explosions, but it doesn't actually do any splash damage. That's what we need from the firework rocket, or just add a brand new enchantment for the crossbow, or just add a way to make explosive tipped arrows so that people can fire these explosions. Obviously, you would need to go very heavy on the balancing changes. You would need to make sure that this was carefully considered and that it wasn't too powerful, but I think it's a really fun idea, and if you can't just make the firework crossbow better, add an explosive crossbow to the game so that you can actually explode things, or even better, make the arrows explosive so that regular bows can get on the action too. Here's the thing about Minecraft Dungeons, they don't just have exploding crossbows, they have cog crossbows and harpoon crossbows, heavy crossbows, rapid crossbows, the list goes on and on and on, but the one that I like the most is the dual crossbows. So dual crossbows is a really fun idea, because the biggest benefit of the crossbow is this idea that you can pull it back once and now be ready for the next shot. It takes slightly longer to recharge, but you can do that recharging on your own time rather than right before you need to take the shot like you do with a regular bow. And so here is the wonderful thing about dual crossbows. You could fire one while the other is recharging, and then once that one's finished recharging, you could fire that while you recharge the first one over and over and over again. This is a common sight that you see in many video games. The idea of having akimbo or dual-wielded anything allows you to sacrifice accuracy, because, fun fact, the reason you can't use a gun in each hand is because they have sights on them. If you can't see the sights, you're not aiming accurately at all. You're just shooting something in that general direction, but sometimes in Minecraft that's all you need. Sometimes having double the firepower but less accuracy is a good idea, and if nothing else, it would be incredibly fun, and if you don't think that's true, then I don't agree with you on anything. Speaking of things I don't agree with, I think Minecraft doesn't have enough weapons which have something interesting on them by default. I think a great example of Minecraft Dungeons doing this is the Frost Scythe. So not only is this a scythe, a whole brand new category that can have a longer range but slower speed, it's really low on the speed effect, but also covers a wider area. It's kind of like a sweeping edge enchantment for swords, but instead of ham-handedly putting on swords, you make a whole brand new weapon for it, and this one also allows it to be freezing to the touch and never seems to melt. That is a fun way to increase gameplay options, in my opinion. It definitely is a massive upgrade and improvement overall, and so yeah, the Frost Scythe having the freezing effect is fun enough by itself, but even just the scythe idea as a whole, there are so many, as well as having all these ranged weapon alternatives, which are just based on the bow or the crossbow, there's also so many melee weapon alternatives, and I could spend all video talking about them. I won't, so instead, the katana, the whip, the hammer, seriously, a big, massive hammer that's super slow to recharge, or we could go the opposite way, and we could have a glaive, which is fast to recharge but only really works a decent distance, or we could go with a backstabbing dagger, a dagger that is specifically designed for short ranges but deals massive damage, or because PvP is a bit fluid, perhaps we could say if you attack someone while sneaking with a weapon that has a super short range, it would make it kind of good for defense as well as being good for these super niche situations where you're sneaking around enemy lines. I think having different weapons for different situations is a really great way to expand on the number of options people have, and if Mojang didn't agree theory, they wouldn't have given us the trident, which is a weird one-off weapon that you only find underwater, that has its own weird set of enchantments, but still has a valuable place and is really fun to use the few times you pick it up. If you just make that but better, then wow, you've got a whole combat update ready for you. But yeah, I could talk about combat all day because Minecraft Dungeons is very hack and slash. Did you know, by the way, they made an arcade game that's all based on that hack and slash formula? Something you might not know, though, is they added a luxury merchant to the game a little bit after the game went live. And so this luxury merchant is a specific camp merchant who enjoys the finer things in life. He sells higher quality gear. But it begs the question, what if we had tiers of merchant in Minecraft? I mean, right now, the Wandering Trader does have a really niche purpose in giving you some items that might be from faraway lands. What if we had different versions of the Wandering Trader, like the luxury merchant, who is much more ideal for later on in the game to allow you to get super high-end things? I mean, he could trade some high-end enchantments sometimes, he could be giving golden apples other times, you know, the sorts of, regeneration potions, the sorts of things that you would really value and could pay a lot of emeralds for, because right now in this situation, it could help you out a ton. Or it could be things that would help out in the long run for the game, because they're super niche items that are kind of tricky to craft. On the low end, this could just be something like glazed terracotta by the stack, so you don't have to go through all the processes of crafting it, or mud bricks, but we could go much, much higher end. We could give people a netherite ingot if they're willing to pay enough emerald blocks, or you could sell things that are more like trophies, like a wither skeleton skull. He would therefore be a great way to introduce, stuff like creeper heads and skeleton heads to the game in a more obtainable way, and yeah, it would mean we could perhaps get the first ever way to get the player head, which I think would be a fun addition to Minecraft. The luxury merchant is just a fun idea. There are so many other merchants that exist in Minecraft Dungeons because they have different variants, because they think it's a smart idea to separate by the tier of stuff, whereas Minecraft just has different professions which are based on the trading table nearby. There isn't different levels besides when you trade more with someone, and I think that is a serious miss given there is already a Wandering Trader in the game. It's just not as fun as the Minecraft Dungeon system, and you know what else isn't as fun as the Minecraft Dungeon system? Obviously there are 6 different DLCs, you can point to any single one of them, but besides the end update, which like I've already said has been beaten to death, the ocean update is one, the hidden depths in case you're curious, is one that I really think is just inspiring and makes you realize what the oceans could be filled with. I mean, we can go through this point by point, right? But first of all, ocean slimes. I mean, they look much more neutered than the ones on the surface, and this is the first time I've ever said this, but I think more slimes could add something to Minecraft for once. I also feel as though just all of the terrain you're going to see in this kind of inspires you to realize what the ocean floor could be. It could be this place filled with life and fear, and there could be these big trenches where the darkness, the light goes away, darkness seeps in. It's almost Mariana Trench deep in here, it looks like, and having, like mobs which come in, big groups, there's something about the ocean which seems perfect for exploration, and having more ways to actually breathe down there so you could explore it and see it in a proper way would be great. I think a squid helmet might be a bit far, might be a bit silly, but you know what, Minecraft can go as far and be as silly as it wants, as we've discussed before. They seem to be working out where to play around with that, and that's something that it seems as though their spin-offs just don't have to worry about. And honestly, that is, I guess, the kind of point that I'm kind of making with this whole video, is that there are so many things in this game, not all of them land, but they throw so much at the wall that it is just incredible to look at. I mean, we went through all of the weapons, we went through all of the different ways that you can trade with villagers, but there's also, I don't want to spend all day on this because I really could make a 45-minute video on things that aren't in Minecraft, but really make sense in Minecraft and that I would love to see added. But this whole game had an armor system which had really colorful and fun armor types that weren't just, this is different colored and it gives you better protection. I mean, looking at the different armor sets is fun enough by itself, but they all gave different benefits which improved as you went on. There's also artifacts which could, be used, to give these fun effects. Obviously, those would be OP in regular Minecraft, but the idea of having things that you find in the world which give you sometimes positive and negative effects is really, really fun. I think all of the mob variants are worth talking about too, because just like Minecraft Earth, where they didn't just have a cow, they would have a ton of different types of cows. There's not just the zombie, there are this many versions of the zombie. There's not just the creeper, there's all the there's not just the piglins, there's elite piglin hunters and elite pillagers, and honestly, the number of different variants they have of every single mob makes the game feel less samey. zombie. When your zombie is different depending on whether you're in a, in the overworld, or you're in a jungle, or you're in the end, when these mobs change based on the situation, it actually adds a lot to your feeling of place. You feel like you're in a different place because it's not just different blocks, there are different creatures inhabiting this entire place. I think the base game actually played around with this the tiniest bit back in 1.10, and what we got was strays, and then we also got the husks, and then we got drowns in 1.13, and then they seemingly never came back to it again. Why don't we have lots of different variants? You can start with just the zombie and the skeleton if you really want to test the waters, but right now we only have 3 mob variants and 2 of the zombie, and I feel as though having these fun different variants, and also on top of all those variants of existing mobs which are meant to be the fodder for the game, there were also a ton of mini bosses. Sure, adding mini bosses to Minecraft you can't do infinitely, but what if there were more structures you could find, for instance underground or in the nether, or perhaps in the end if there was going to be an end update, what if we had end ascents? What if we had the redstone golem? He's the iconic Minecraft Dungeons mob. Obviously you don't have to take all of these things perfectly exactly, because having an ancient guardian or the jungle abomination or whatever out, some of these things wouldn't fit, and that's fine. You can take the idea of variants which exist in a very specific place and give you a fun reward once you kill them. I think you can take the idea and you can work on it, but the idea that we're not going to do that is a little disappointing sometimes. I think that's why my core thesis of this video is that Minecraft is really good at knowing exactly what we want. Minecraft is great at knowing that, yeah, an ancient guardian boss, that sure is fascinating, or a clam mob, which is on the ocean floor, or heck, even the Illusioner, which appeared in the Minecraft game files for the first time a while ago, but is actually in Minecraft Dungeons before it came to Minecraft the base game. I think taking this, thing that you get from Minecraft Dungeons, where you realize which of these are popular, which of them are not, and let's be honest, for most people, no one's complaining about the mobs they hate in Minecraft Dungeons. People are excited about the fact that it has this amazing looking end update. And that's right, we circle back round. They're excited by the idea of dual crossbows, or by, super specialized weaponry, and although you don't have to translate each and every one of those things to the base game, I wish someone at Mojang, who is spending all this money making these spin-off games, which aren't as successful as the main game, could use them as valuable market research, as valuable data collection, to realize what should be added to Minecraft in the end. That's just my take at least, and to jump aboard the weird YouTube trend where you end randomly in the middle of a sentence, I'm going to do that next.